Welcome to Not So New News. Come along with us as we continue to discover an Appalachian time gone by. Today's article comes from the town of Whitesburg in Letcher County, Kentucky's newspaper, the Mountain Eagle. Volume 2, Number 46, Industrial Edition, Section 1, dated July 22nd, 1909. Page 4 is not named and continued in today's reading. A well-known physician. Dr. John Dishman Fitzpatrick. Dr. John Dishman Fitzpatrick is the youngest and now only living son of the late attorney James B. Fitzpatrick, once one of our best-known citizens. He was born in Whitesburg, Kentucky, and for the first few years of his life was a close student in school. When about grown, he secured a teacher's certificate and for several years was one of our very best teachers. By strict economy, he saved enough money to enter the University of Louisville Medical Department and in 1904 graduated from the institution and at once entered upon the practice of medicine with an unconquerable zeal. He was a success from the beginning and today has a large practice in all sections of the country. When Dr. Fitzpatrick entered upon his career, he was poor, but today is worth considerable money, being among the best-to-do of our young men. He is part owner of the Fitzpatrick and Venters Drug Store, the second institution of its kind at this place. At this time, Dr. Fitzpatrick is very favorably mentioned as a probable candidate for county judge of Letcher County to be voted in November. Popular sand liquor. I. N. Lewis. The subject of this sketch, and whose likeness is shown above, is a worthy citizen of Sandlick and lives near Whitesburg. He was born about 38 years ago on Poor Fork of Cumberland, and is the son of John J. Lewis, a well-to-do citizen of the county. Mr. Lewis married Lizzie, the daughter of the late Joseph S. Fairchild. He is one of our very best citizens and has a family of intelligent children, some of whom are very near grown. Mr. Lewis is very much a candidate for county judge of Letcher County. When you get your copy of the big industrial edition of the Mountain Eagle, look it over carefully and try to realize the great expense and vast amount of work it took to get out such a paper. And then maybe you'll do the right thing by paying that back subscription or by paying a year in advance. A young physician. Dr. David M. Fields. Dr. Fields is perhaps the youngest practicing physician in the county. He is a son of M. C. Fields, a merchant of Kings Creek, and the son-in-law of Stephen Adams of Little Cowan. Dr. Fields, like most of our young professional and businessmen, was educated in the public and private schools of the county and taught in the county schools for a number of years. He then entered the medical department of the University of Louisville, from which he graduated in 1907. Since his graduation, Dr. Fields has entered rapidly upon the practice of his profession. Being sober, discreet, intelligent, and honest, he has bright prospects for a successful professional career before him. Keep this issue of the Eagle for all time to come. It will be worth saving. It will be worth more than a year's subscription to any other newspaper in the country. Prominent teacher. M. M. Martin. The above is a good reproduction of the face and features of Professor M. M. Martin, formerly a leading teacher of Letcher County, now located at Walsh, Greenup County. He was thoroughly educated in the public and private schools of eastern Kentucky and southwest Virginia. Early he engaged in teaching, and then he entered a business college at Memphis, Tennessee, and after graduation was employed as principal for 1 year in the college. Being fired with ambition to do more work for the mountains of his youth, he resigned his position and came back here to engage in the work. At present, he is actively engaged in this profession. There are so many people who have never before realized the good work done by the Eagle, and we know that this issue will open their eyes. Show your appreciation by subscribing for a whole year. The price is $1 per year in advance. A popular physician, Dr. James Monroe Bentley. Dr. J. M. Bentley was born in Letcher County in 1876 and was educated in the public and private schools. Like most every other young man who amounts to anything in the mountains, he entered the profession of teaching till he could get a foothold. For 5 years he followed this profession. Then he entered the medical department of the University of Louisville and in 1906 was graduated from that institution. Coming back to his native country, he located at Whitesburg and ever since has been an earnest and successful practitioner. He has built up a good practice and is popular all over the country. He is a son of Honorable R. B. Bentley of this place. He married a daughter of the late Isam Gibson of Bottom Fork, and they have several bright and interesting children to bless their home. Prominent physician and surgeon, Dr. P. Y. Percival. Dr. Pascal Young Percival was born in Bell County, Kentucky in 1879. He was reared at Pineville and educated in the public and private schools of Bell County and other contingent territory. Dr. Percival's father was at one time among the best civil engineers and draftsmen in eastern Kentucky. He was connected with a number of other financial and business institutions, being a banker, merchant, and at one time large dealer in real estate. His mother was a daughter of Elder Knox Hurst of Tennessee. In 1901, Dr. Percival entered the Hospital College of Medicine at Louisville and was graduated from that institution in 1904, and since then has been ardently and successfully practicing his profession. About 3 years ago, accompanied by his young wife, who was Mrs. Gorman, he came to Letcher County and was located at Whitesburg. At that time, he was almost a total stranger here, but by his genteel manners and common everyday way, he soon had a host of friends on every hand. He started the first drug store at this place, which has been a success from the beginning. Dr. Percival, notwithstanding his non-acquaintance with the county at the time of his arrival, has built up a good practice. Some time ago, Dr. Percival became a member of the Baptist Church at this place. He is alive to everything that tends to develop and moralize our people and the mountains. He has 2 interesting children. We bespeak for Dr. Percival much success in the future. An up-to-date hostelry. The Kentucky Hotel of Whitesburg. The above is a good representation of the old and reliable KY Hotel at this place. The proprietor, Colonel L. H. N. Salyer, and his estimable wife, by their genial hospitality, have made this one of the most popular hostelries in the mountains. It is one of the best buildings and is thoroughly furnished from top to bottom. Those shown in the picture, reading from right to left, are Colonel Salyer, Tyree Salyer, Mrs. Salyer, Clarence Salyer, Miss Lila Salyer, Miss Effie Salyer, and Miss Hannah Cottle. In his working garb. An ex-Letcherite and his work hands. The above is not a Letcher County scene, yet a greater portion of the persons shown therein are Letcher County's products. The picture is a reproduction of a scene on a farm of Sam T. Webb near Vanceburg, Kentucky. It's a big strawberry field. This field, together with a nearby smaller one, so we are reliably informed, yielded to its owner this year $296.19 in clear profits. Beginning left, the names of those shown are Mrs. Faulkner, Mrs. Blair, Mrs. Vilas Webb, Mrs. Stevenson, Mrs. Trula V. Salling, Mrs. Johnson, Hassel Webb, Miss Johnson, Mr. Sam T. Webb, Mrs. Schumett, Mrs. Letty Webb Salling, Mrs. Lizzie Hicks Webb, Byron Salling, Mrs. Stout, Miss May Webb. Many of our readers will remember Sam T. Webb, who was a few years ago a popular school teacher of the county. He is now doing well on a good farm near Vanceburg, Lewis County, Kentucky. He raises all kinds of small fruits, tobacco, etc. This picture was taken June 11, 1909. A leading physician, Dr. James E. Venters. Dr. James E. Venters, the subject of this sketch, was born in this county in the year 1876. He attended the public and private schools of the county and in early manhood began the profession of teaching, being for 10 years one of our strongest and best teachers. He entered the Southern Normal School at Bowling Green and graduated from that institution with high honors in 1903. He then entered the Hospital College of Medicine at Louisville, from which institution he graduated in 1906. He then began actively the practice of medicine profession, and from that time to this has established for himself a good practice in the profession. Dr. Venters is a son of John Venters, a well-known citizen of Baker, this country, and is son-in-law to Hiram W. Holcomb, a good citizen of Boone's Fork. He is a member of the firm Fitzpatrick and Venters, physicians at this place and proprietors of the Fitzpatrick and Venters drugstore. Mr. Venters comes from an excellent and well-known family. Enoch W. Frasier. On account of the work of the poor artist, we were unable to present our readers with a picture of the subject of this sketch. However, he is one of our best young businessmen. He is the son of Zach Frasier of the Line Fork section and is a fair representative of the well-known Frasier family in this county. Enoch Frasier is about 25 years old and is a member of the firm of Frasier Brothers, merchants of Line Fork. He has been employed for several years as the trusted and popular salesman of the firm of Lewis Brothers and Big Merchants at Whitesburg. He has a bright and prospective business future before him. Isom Stamper. Among the ancient landmarks and first settlers of what is now Letcher County was the late Isom Stamper of Line Fork. He was born in Ashe County, North Carolina in the year 1805 and settled here 16 years afterward. At that time, the country was full of bears, wildcats, and other animals, but instead of running wild after them, he set about to improve the county and established homes for his children and generation. At one time in his life, he owned 15,450 acres of land in Letcher County. Mr. Stamper married a Creech, and they succeeded in rearing 13 children to manhood and womanhood. Uncle Isom died at the age of 95 years, surrounded by a large heritage and mourned by thousands of acquaintances all over the country. Andrew J. Sturgill. Mr. Sturgill was born in Wise County, Virginia in the year 1879, and in the early youth moved with his father to Letcher County. He attended the public and private schools of the county and in 1901 graduated from Tennessee Normal College at Knoxville. Immediately afterward, he entered the naval service of the United States and for a number of years located in various parts of the world. Returning to his home country in 1905, he was nominated and elected clerk of the Letcher County Court, which position he is now filling. He has made one of the best officers Letcher County has ever had. Mr. Sturgill married the daughter of Spencer Combs, a leading citizen of Knott County, and they are blessed with 2 interesting children. This concludes today's reading of page 4 of the July 22, 1909 Mountain Eagle. We at Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for your continued support as we bring to you the history of the Appalachian Mountains.